Roughly 1 in every 3 people who walk this earth today profess to be Christian. They claim Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. But is he really? Do Christians today truly follow the religion which Jesus taught? Or was his call hijacked somewhere along the way? Remember, Jesus told us to watch out for false teachers, deceivers who appear as wolves in sheep's clothing. A reminder that the most dangerous enemies are the ones who you think you can trust, the ones who infiltrate and devour a flock from within. Jesus Christ, the Good Shepherd, told us exactly who to follow after him. He named his chief disciple, Simon Peter, as his successor, the rock upon which his church would be built. But somehow, another man, not Simon Peter, ended up becoming the dominant voice of Christianity. Roughly half of the books which fill the pages of the New Testament were written by one man, a man who never even met Jesus, a man with a deeply rooted hatred for Christians, a man called Saul of Tarsus, better known today as the Apostle Paul. Paul's teachings are so influential, some have even dubbed him the founder of Christianity, a claim which reveals a big problem. Paul's doctrine is often at odds with the message of Jesus, which begs the question, was Paul an apostle or an impostor, a messenger from Christ, or an antichrist who has led 1/3 of the world's population astray? Join us on Al Rayat Al Sud satellite channel as we tell the story of the man who stole the religion of Jesus and founded Christianity as we know it today, Paul, the false apostle. The year is roughly 36 AD. The place, Jerusalem. This is the holy city where the teachings of Christ once rang out into the air. But now, just a few years after the crucifixion, the winds have changed direction and some people are on a hunt for Christian blood. An angry mob zeroes in on a godly man by the name of Stephen, drags him out of the city, and begins to stone him. They lay their coats in front of a young man called Saul of Tarsus, who fully consented to Stephen's death and later admitted, "And when the blood of your martyr Stephen was shed, I stood there giving my approval and guarding the clothes of those who were killing him." This story alone is shocking enough, but this was not the only time Saul got his hands dirty. Saul was born into a strict Jewish family and spent his youth studying under the famous rabbi Gamaliel, the man who trained him as a Pharisee. These are the same Pharisees whom Jesus referred to as vipers and sons of the devil. Saul's zeal for the law led him to become an inquisitor of the Jerusalem temple's priesthood. Saul was a bloodhound and admitted to mercilessly chasing and killing many Christians. According to the book of Acts, Saul was still breathing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciples when he had a transformative experience on the road to Damascus, a vision of the resurrected Jesus. It was that experience which allegedly changed everything. Saul became Paul and declared himself a freshly converted apostle of Christ. But there is a problem with this story. Paul can't quite get the details straight. It is considered a red flag when a person can't keep their story straight. When detectives work to solve a crime, they test witnesses on the consistency of their accounts. If the story keeps changing, suspicions arise. You might assume that a vision of Jesus would be memorable enough to stick in someone's memory, but the so-called Apostle Paul tells 3 different versions of his apparition on the road to Damascus, recorded in the book of Acts. In Acts chapter 9, verse 7, we find one account where Paul claims that his travel companions did not see Jesus, but heard his voice.
Look, handle that, I'm lying.
And in Acts chapter 22, verse 9, we find another version of the story. They saw the light, but they did not understand the voice of him who was speaking to me. In one version, Paul is blinded for 3 days. In another, he makes no mention of such a thing. We are left wondering, which version should we believe? But perhaps a more important question to ask is, why does this all matter? It matters because the entire validity of Paul as a messenger hinges on this story. This is the single proof he used to convince people to take him seriously as a messenger from God. Having never met Jesus in the flesh, this is all he has to go on. And it just so happens that it cannot be verified by anybody. There is no mention of Paul in the Gospels by Jesus or anyone else for that matter. Nobody gives Paul the title of apostle other than Paul himself. So we have to ask these questions. Was Paul a man who saw the error in his ways and turned his life around? Or did he carry out his original agenda, utilizing a different strategy, destroying the Christian faith from within? In any case, one thing is certain. Paul's claim to apostleship directly contradicts what Jesus taught. Throughout his ministry, Jesus had many disciples. At one point, he amassed followers in the thousands. But there was always an inner circle of 12 men, handpicked by Jesus. That number, 12, was no accident. There was a specific purpose behind it. Talking about his second coming, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, at the renewal of all things, when the Son of Man sits on his glorious throne, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel." These words demonstrate just how important the sacred number 12 is. How could 11 or 13 apostles judge 12 tribes? The disciples themselves understood the significance of this number. After Jesus left them, the remaining 11 apostles set out to replace the fallen one from among them, Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus. Praying for divine guidance, the men drew lots, and in the end, they reported that God chose Matthias to be the 12th disciple. There was one important criteria for the selection. Therefore, it is necessary to choose one of the men who have been with us the whole time the Lord Jesus was living among us, beginning from John's baptism to the time when Jesus was taken up from us. So imagine the confusion of the 12 disciples when, years later, Paul came along and inserted himself into the equation as the 13th disciple. Paul, a man who never met Jesus, certainly didn't qualify to be one of them. But that didn't stop Paul from making some dramatic changes to the religion of Jesus. And the early Christians did not consider Paul to be an authority in the same right as the 12. One of the most notable new concepts which Paul brought to Christianity was the abolishment of the Old Testament law. Claiming to speak on behalf of Christ, Paul said, "For sin shall no longer be your master, because you are not under the law, but under grace." He claimed that Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. For it is written, "Cursed is everyone who is hung on a pole." Basically, Paul argued that when Jesus died, so too did the law. The old covenant between God and man was overturned in favor of a new one by which all sins are forgiven of the one who simply says, "I believe." There is just one major problem with Paul's logic, though. According to the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus appeared to the 12 after the crucifixion saying this, "Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you." And Jesus clearly commanded them to keep the commandments. "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill them." Jesus was a reformer. His mission was to bring things back to the old ways of theology. He came to guide people back to the religion of God. Jesus, the long-awaited Jewish Messiah, affirmed the message of the Hebrew prophets before him. He adhered to the Jewish law and never once indicated that the law of the Old Testament prophets would or should be abolished. In fact, he said, "It is easier for heaven and earth to disappear than for the least stroke of a pen to drop out of the law." So why did Paul come out and teach the opposite? Just as Jesus said, "If you want to enter life, keep the commandments." Paul said, "No one will be declared righteous in God's sight by the works of the law." It simply couldn't make sense unless Paul had another agenda. Paul initially preached to people of his same religious background, the Jews. But when he found that he could not convince many that Jesus was divine, he went outside of Israel to the Gentiles. But once again, he faced difficulty.
Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Give me a Yahoo if I can be heard, family. I just put the link in the chat for that video right there. My brother NehemiYAH just uploaded or re-uploaded it to his channel. Y'all go like, share, subscribe to my brother's channel. He's trying to build that deal back on up. He had over 100,000 subscribers on this last channel before they canned my brother, man. So that's the link again right there. NehemiYAH is the one that actually re-uploaded that. That's an actual documentary that we've been watching for the past little bit over a year and a half. Watching that documentary and a few others. It's like, whoa. Nazarene edition part 101 open chop session. Y'all want to come on in and chop it up with your bro? Come on with it. I know Israel is in the season of dedication. The unconscious Israelites are decking the halls with folly. You dig? And then the brothers who are somewhat conscious are deciding to do the dedication. So what are we really dedicated to? Man, type of conversations don't nobody really want to have. To whom or to what are we dedicated? You dig? It's all good. It's good to see y'all in the building, though. I see y'all. YAH'KI, my beloved. Bless up. Bless up. Shalom. Ema said it. City of Compton. Ema said apart living in the building. Ema Robbie Dobson in the building. Belinda Young. Selah Shalom TV. Peace to the God. My brother. Bless up. Shem Mordecai Israel. My beloved brother. Peace to the God. Yehuda Israel. Be putting that fire on him on social media. Shalom. Big homie. Big homie outside. I put the link in the chat if y'all want to rap. I found quite interesting though. Look at your show in the building, Stephon. And would you say your show? My name's Stephon Arkel. You ain't Steve Urkel no more. You Stephon Arkel, brother. What's going on, your show? Yeah, I put my 18-year-old little brother. You sure was you 17 or 18? I put that brother up against your 17 or 18-year-old. You did. The boy got bars for infinity. Blessing to the young king. Bless up. Bless up. Bless up. Bless up. Malak Torah. Bless up. Bless up. Bless up. I see y'all in the building. Shebrew Faith is the Swift Messenger in the building. Lorenzo Chandler, my brother from the Lost Wages. Anna Nails or Annalise. Okay. Oh, man. Bang, bang, bang. The dedication. I'm hitting you with something. It was a dedication, too, during the time of Solomon. You'll find it in Chronicles. It's a dedication during the time of Solomon dealing with the temple. They called that the Feast of Dedication as well. Did find that pretty interesting. You dig? Okay, but look, I want to show y'all something. Let me show y'all something. You know, we come somewhat controversial. A lot of people don't like what we bring out, but they'll be all right. Shout out to the haters, jaw jackers, and naysayers. Yeah. We love y'all too. Bless up, Nazarene edition 101. Y'all see we ran through a 100-round clip. We did 100. All right. Now we're going to deal with part 101. This is an open chop session for the most part. Anybody want to come on with it. I want to show y'all something though. All right. Let's go deal with the Apocrypha real quick. Now, some of y'all may be frightened of the Apocrypha. I understand. I understand. Trust me. So this is the season we're in. You see majority of Israelites observing the Feast of Dedication, 8-day feast. Well, I know some brothers ain't getting it on to next week. I think it is. Yeah. Next week. I want to show y'all something in 2nd Maccabees, though. Let's talk about it. All right, 2nd Maccabees, the 5th chapter. We're going to look at like the desecration of Jerusalem and the mindset of Matthias' sons, Judah Maccabeus and his brothers and the flock, the women, the children, all them. The mindset they had to be in. All right. He had sacked the temple, this heathen and Antiochus. Okay, so this is 2nd Maccabees, chapter 5, so y'all can see. All right, we're going to jump on down. All right, any of y'all know about the history, you know who Antiochus Epiphanes is. An actual historical cat that actually lived and rained down all type of hell on our people. All right, all types of hell. All right, now, this is important because all types of hell is getting poured out on you as we speak. And keep in mind, these brothers were in the land being dominated by Greek Hellenization. All right. Now, how did they look? Temple being sacked, all the gold, the stash, the silver, the rubies, everything being sacked. Sell out Israelites, letting the Greeks and them know where we had our money at, where the stash is at, in exchange for positions of power over their own people. Yeah, sell out type. You dig? Now, we're going to get down into verse 21. All right. We 2nd Maccabees chapter 5, verse 21. All right. And let's go into what dedication, like where you really at with it. See, a lot of our people are stuck in a time loop. All right, what about this information right now can you take and apply it to where you at right now? You understand? Like, you shouldn't even read this story, even though it's a great story, man. When you get into how the brothers had to stand up and wage war against Greek Hellenization, man, it is a beautiful story. You understand? And regardless of where you at with it, regardless of if you believe the story happened or not, I ain't even with all that. Like, I don't even argue. Like, I've been proved the historical validation of who we call Yahshua, the Messiah. You did. We went through history and showed the authenticity of the Israelites and all that. So when I read stuff now, this is where I'm at as your brother. I look for what I can take out of it and apply where I'm at to effect change right now. I ain't really arguing with, I ain't lip wrestling with Nick Rose about if so-and-so existed, and no matter what information you bring out, he gonna say, oh, well, that ain't proof. You dig? And if you ain't got no time capsule to jump in, if you ain't got no DeLorean Back to the Future, 1.121 gigawatts of electricity, do you some time traveling, then whatever you bring out anyway really ain't gonna be like convincing to somebody. Once somebody's mind is made up that what they are reading is fake, then that's just what they is. You know what I mean? So when I examine whatever I examine, I look to grab the jewels out of it to where I can apply it to my everyday life. You see what I'm saying? That's what that's about. Like, I don't think Israel need to be reading about us standing up and waging war against all these Greeks and all that, and then you think, okay, well, let me go load up my ARs and go into the nearest store and get to killing a whole bunch of white folk. That is not what you're supposed to be taking from this. You know what I mean? You ain't supposed to read the story of David and Goliath and see David then kill Goliath, and then you like, all right, I'm finna go to the corner store. Wasn't he a Philistine of Gath? I'm finna go to the corner store and wage war against these so-called Palestinians. And nah, that ain't what you supposed to be taking from even these stories of warfare. You understand? You supposed to look at all these stories as if, nah, you David, right? And Goliath is whatever foe or whatever mountain or whatever opposition you have in your life. You understand? And you understand through the guiding hand of the Most High, through faith, through dedication. Gotta go that word again, dedication. You can take down the most experienced foe. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about within. I'm talking about within. You see what I'm saying? Like, we can talk all day about what we battling physically, but we all know we have hundreds of conversations in our head daily. All right. There are unseen forces looking to stir you left. There are righteous forces looking to stir you right. All right. So what voice are you going to take heed to? The voice of the Creator through his ambassador angels, or you going to deal with all the low vibrations, you know, the carnal mindset? What you going to deal with? The mind of Satan. That's what that is. You see? So these things are about you conquering self, conquering that beast nature within. When you read about the Maccabees and them getting it on with the Greeks, don't go load up your AO and go kill no white folk. That ain't what that's about. Today, you apply that to conquering whatever that is that rises up against you that's in opposition to your Creator. You understand? Here you go being a little Greek boy in spirit, being a heathen in spirit. Nah, that's what all this is about. You understand? So look, let me show y'all the mindset of the brethren, because they had to wage war. All right, now remember, your body is the temple. So you're looking at a physical temple, or you're looking at this story metaphysically, spiritually, applying it to you, and how you supposed to raise up with that same type of zeal, spiritually speaking. I ain't telling you to go kill nothing, right? To fight them drudges or them demons that rise up in you. You gotta fight that at every turn. And to be just as zealous as these brothers was in the flesh. You understand? That's how more thorough you got to be in the spirit. Now, a lot of our people don't want to talk about is this too. We'll stop the story when we deal with dedication. You never keep reading. You know, Judah Maccabee and them eventually end up dying by the sword on the battlefield. Eventually, he died. You know, they had to strike a deal and had to come into covenant with the Romans. You see what I'm saying? And eventually, he died on the battlefield. You see what I'm saying? So that's still, it's still the, what is the saying? Live by the sword, die by the sword. Even though he stood up and battled in a righteous cause and what he thought was right, he still ended up dying by the sword. You understand? How do we read this and not take that from that either? You see what I'm saying? There's a reason why the master teacher told you when they get at you in this city, hey, flee ye into another, get up out of there. You understand? What you mean we about to sell land or spill blood over land? It ain't ours. They belong to Creator. You understand? That's why the mindset of those who were non-resistant, what had nothing to do with them being chump suckers. It had nothing to do with them folding like a cheap suit. It had everything to do with their knowledge on the conditions of spirits that are slain in warfare. Once you understand that, look, you ain't even going to be wanting to put no blood in these streets. Once you understand the condition of those slain in warfare, sisters, once you understand the condition of the spirits of those aborted, once you understand that the blood you put out here, you got to clean it up. You're responsible for that. And once you understand the affliction that you bring and put on the angels who are involved with restoring such spirits, you gonna think a million times before you kill something. You see what I'm saying? So being non-resistant has everything to do with your awareness of the spiritual realm, your awareness of the conditions of these spirits who have been slain. You dig? And the affliction you bring on angels who are in charge of restoring you, receiving your spirit when they cross over. That's what that's about. This has nothing to do. So Israel, you can read the great stories and the great wars in the Bible, and that's what's up. But don't let that influence you to go kill nothing. You understand? Instead, use the warrior energy to direct that inward against those unclean spirits that we all battle with. Right? Battle that. That's where you battle it. What good is it you being free on your own land and you still in bondage to these unclean forces? What good is that? All right, now let me show y'all something. Watch this. When the Apocrypha, 2 Maccabees 5:21. So when Antiochus had carried out of the temple 1,800 talents. So the temple was our bank as well. We had a sellout Israelite snitch on where our stash was, and then Antiochus, this Greek, coming to the temple, which represents your body, right? See, mind science. You can deal with the Bible and deal with mind science. Okay, so whatever virus or whatever plague is coming against the vessel or the temple or the Creator, you got to be equipped with the right type of weaponry and knowledge of warfare and stratagems to defeat that. Shout out to the healers out here. So when Antiochus had carried out of the temple 1,800 talents, he departed in all haste unto Antiochia. They always name cities and stuff after them. Weaning in his pride. Weaning means he's decreasing. To make the land navigable and the sea passable by foot. Such was the hardiness of his mind. He was real hardy. He wanted to make the land navigable. He wanted to be able to pilot his boats on dry land. And walk across the ocean. You did. Like, come on, man. That's how backwards this cat was. He wanted to put a boat. He wanted to put feet on the ocean and a boat on dry land. That's how hardy this cat was. But he was realizing, to no avail. Look at this. And he left governors to vex the nation. What nation? The Israelites. To vex the nation at Jerusalem. Philip for his country at Phrygian. And for manners more barbarous than he that set him there. He did. And that Gershom, Andronicus, and besides Menelaus, who worse than all the rest burned heavy hand over the citizens, having a malicious mind against his countrymen, the Jews or the Yahudim. Now Menelaus is this sellout. You did. He the one in Django. Who that nigga on that name? That's him. That's Samuel L. in Django. Negro named Menelaus, who worse than all the rest burned heavy hand over the citizens, having a malicious mind against his countrymen, the Jews. He sent also that detestable ringleader Apollonius with an army of 220,000. Good night. Commanding him to slay all those that were in their best age and to sell the women and the younger sort. Straight bondage. Look at this. Who coming to Jerusalem and pretending peace did forbear to the holy day of the Sabbath. When taking the Yahudim keeping holy day, he commanded his men to arm themselves. And so he slew all them that were going to the celebrating of the Sabbath. And running through the city with weapons, slew great multitudes. Now, a lot of our forefathers and foremothers were non-resistant. That's the aspect a lot of our people don't want to talk about. And again, I'm saying it because these type of people know the conditions of the spirits who get slain in warfare. They know the reality of what the angels who are in charge of restoring your spirit got to deal with when your spirit birthed in chaos. So a lot of us were non-resistant. Messiah taught that. Messiah taught that, to be non-resistant. You understand? Oh, look, get up out of there. You see him coming, move. You dig? You see some hellfire missiles coming, boy, you better get up out of there. That's what that's about. Look, what profits you got to gain to fight a war that you guaranteed to lose? No profit in it. What would you do? You would trade space for time. You retreat. I mean, you weak. You understand? You just by buying yourself more time. All right, strategize. Look at it. And so he slew all them that were going to the celebrating of Shabbat and running through the city with weapons, slew great multitudes. Now look what Judah and them did. But Judah Maccabeus with 9 others or thereabout withdrew himself into the wilderness and lived in the mountains after the manner of beasts with his company. Who did what? Who fed on herbs. Who fed on herbs continually, lest they should be partakers of the pollution. Now, why are they feeding on herbs? Why are they feeding on herbs? And trip off this, they had to feed on them continually because if they didn't, they would have been partakers of defilement or partakers of pollution. Why is that? Damn Israelite want to talk about that. You know what I mean? Why would Judah Maccabee and them refrain from chewing on the flocks they have with them in the wilderness? Why would they refrain from chewing on flesh during this 3.5-year war that they're waging against these Greeks? Don't nobody want to talk about that. You see what I'm saying? That's right there in the scripture. Right there in the scripture. Why again are they feeding on herbs continually? While the temple is being sacked, while Jerusalem is being slaughtered, while those who are observing the Shabbat are being slaughtered. You dig? Why are they feeding on herbs? And what about them not eating herbs would have made them defiled? I can hear somebody now, but hold on. How you know they had their flocks with them? Let's drop that. Let's go back to First Mac. Let's go back to First Maccabees 2:30. What are you really dedicated to? To whom are you dedicated to? Because during this whole war, guess what they did? They refrained from chewing on animal sandwiches, loin meat, the back of chickens. They refrained from that. All right. This First Maccabees chapter 2. I'm going to read verse 27 to 31. All right, y'all get some understanding so far? Give me a 9 up in the chat. Bless up, bless up, bless up. You did. Determination, discipline, and dedication. All right. All praises, glory, and honor. Good to see y'all in the building. Bless up, bless up, bless up, bless up. To whom and to what? You know what I mean? Are you dedicated to? My brother Fabian Bird, what's the word, King? Bless up. Good to see my brother Fabian Bird. That brother drives from coast to coast. That brother drives from sea to shining sea in this deal, baby. Blessings to you, King, man. Abundant blessings. In the name of the Creator, I salute all you brothers and sisters. All right. And this is the thing. We just be trying to have the conversation. It's all it's about. Right, that's right, my brother Malaki Torah, because the temple and altar was polluted. You dig? Now, the crazy part about that is the temple and altar ain't even in existence. Like the temple and altar was standing during their time, and this day it ain't even in existence. It's a wall that they claim is a remnant of the temple, but we found out that ain't even that. There's a wall where heathens are breathing a breath on, putting prayer notes up in that deal. That's it. Look at this right here. Salute. I've been vegetarian for 2 years because of you, and y'all keep teaching and getting my own knowledge, and I feel 80% better. All praises to the Creator. That's what that's about. That right there is more than whatever. Like the testimonies, do it for me. Do it for me. You know what I mean? That's right. Temple was polluted. Now, in our case, the temple ain't nowhere around. All right. Temple was nowhere around. Or is nowhere around, meaning you don't have what's required for you if you're going by the flesh laws, the laws in Leviticus, there's a ritual that has to take place before you throw any dead flesh down your throat. What I'm saying is that ain't been getting done in over 2,000 years. So in essence, every piece of flesh you eat or that you claim you pray over or dedicate, whether it's chicken, turkey, a hog, or whatever it may be, is all unclean regardless. Like Judah Maccabee and them had to refrain from chewing on animals so they can avoid defilement, and the temple was standing and the altar was right there and the priests were officiating. What's your excuse today where it ain't no temple standing? There ain't no priest officiating. I'm just saying, we claim we go by Torah, then all right, well, you got to stand on that. Now look at this. And Mattathias cried throughout the city. Now Mattathias is Judah Maccabee's father. All right. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law or zealous of the Torah and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city. Look at this. Then many that sought out the justice and judgment went down to the wilderness to dwell there. Look at this. Both they and their children and their wives and their cattle. There it is right there. So they're in the wilderness with cattle. They are priests in the wilderness at that. They are a family of priests. They're in the wilderness not only with their children and their wives, but also their possessions and their cattle. Now, being a priest who are very well familiar with the rituals that must take place in Leviticus in order for you to even chew on a dead animal, they still didn't chew on it. And they got them with them. They got the cattle with them. You see this? This is serious business right here, man. Don't nobody really ever want to talk about that, man. So obviously they're in the wilderness with cattle, and they are priests in the wilderness with cattle with that. Why didn't they slay the cattle and barbecue and roast the flesh? What about if they would have did that? Why would they have been defiled? See, so a lot of our brothers claim they keeping, Torah by eating lawful meats and all that, but there's a whole ritual that flesh got to go through. And what I'm saying is that those rituals ain't been done in 2,000 years, well over. And even this family of priests understood that. That's why they did not chew on the flesh. They were herbivores. All right. Now, if they knew they had to become herbivorous because the temple was under attack and the altar is profane, what must you become? And the temple ain't even hurt. The altar ain't even hurt. What must you become? What did they know that you still ain't figured out today? Wait. So if y'all understand that this family of priests who became herbivorous during this this dedication season, if you understood they became herbivorous and was not chewing on their cattle in the wilderness because they understood they would have been defiled, give me an 8 up in the chat. It's real easy. That right there proves they there with their cattle. You know what I mean? That's real simple, man. That's real simple. A lot of people don't want to deal with that though. Like, oh man, but you're not realizing it's a flesh lust. That's all it is. It's a flesh lust. You see, them brothers withstood from the flesh during this feast. So, you know what I mean? It'd be good to see brothers saying, you know what, I'm gonna dedicate this vessel. During this feast, I'm gonna rehearse the righteous acts of this feast. I'm gonna dedicate my mind, my body, my spirit, which is the temple of Creator, completely over. You understand? One of the first things I'm gonna do is remove the idols, false gods about my heart. I'm gonna do righteous works unto others, and I'm gonna work like what? I'm gonna work like whatever it takes to purify this vessel. You understand? And that starts with what? You stop chewing on animal sandwiches. Like there's a whole being within you. Think about it. That's all. And then some of y'all got, some of y'all have homesteads, and some of y'all have, land and farms and all that. I ain't never against any of that. You dig? But some of these cows become your pets, right? You know what I mean? There go Bevo right there. Look at little Bevo. Look at little Bevo. And then one day y'all eating Bevo. And then here come your young children like, where's Bevo? Not knowing you already killed poor little Bevo, processed him, threw him in the slow cooker, you dig? And now you eating what? Beef stew? You eating Bevo stew. Like, think about how sadistic that is, man. Like, they was like cool with this little dude, petting him and everything, playing with him, and now you're eating him. You dig? So it really ain't that hard, man, once you understand, like, okay, well, that's how it's supposed to be. And then that goes into the whole thing when it comes down to eating flesh offered to idols. You understand? Or devils. That's the whole understanding of that, dealing with a lot of brothers, you dig, is if somebody tell you, oh, this was offered to Buddha, or this was offered to so-and-so. Nah, it's the flesh, period. You dig? Especially if you're going by flesh laws or Leviticus laws, right? Right? Well, a whole ritual. The priest got to perform rituals to get that off. All right? And that's if you're going by that. I mean, I stopped chewing on flesh a while back. If you're going by that, then that's the process that must happen. All right? It has to be slain a certain way. And it can't be no older than 2 days old. Most of your deep freezer meat you got been in there over a year. Here you go to you finna thaw that out and throw a feast to the Creator. No, it don't work like that, y'all. It don't work like that. You dig? Let me see if NehemiYAH. I got NehemiYAH in the building. I got my brother YHWH'S Israel in the building. Bless up, bless up. I got Dreadful Cosma, my brother YAH'KI in the building. All right. I got my sister Keyla in the building. Bless up. I see y'all. So it's a whole, I found that interesting though. When we brought that out like a little bit over a year ago, like, hey man, that's wild. You know what I mean? They straight the whole family of priests, the Maccabean revolt was a war fought on veggies. I say, dang. And they refused to partake of even the cattle they had with them because it would have defiled them. All right, so how about we challenge ourselves? You know, some people still may be struggling with the flesh pots. You understand? We ain't here to condemn you. We just here to encourage you. Like, you can do better than that. You understand? You feel a lot better. And if any type of sicknesses or diseases is messing with you, you understand? You'll start purging them about that vessel. Now, what bro say, Mexican family near me had a pet goat Christmas time. His ass was in a pot. Hey, I'm saying, that's nothing to play with, man. Look, think of how weird they got to be. That's weird, you dig? All right, so when we get over here to, like, you'll see in the New Testament, you'll see James, the Messiah's brother, giving a commandment out to what? To abstain from flesh or food or meats offered to idols. All right, according to the Torah, it is that. A lot of people don't want to deal with that. All right, and it's not just because Paul told you what it is. No, the flesh offered to devils or idols is found in the Torah. You see what I'm saying? So when you start asking brothers, then you realize brothers and sisters who are still caught up in that, they have no answer for you. Like, according to Torah, what is the flesh offered to idols or devils? According to the Torah, what is it? It's right there in Leviticus, right? And the chewing on the lawful flesh you find in Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14 is contingent upon that. And that's not even happening. Even if you have your own homestead or your own farms and all that, you slaughtering and butchering your own chickens like your boy Pastor Dow. Like, you slaughter that's still off. That's still off. That's still unclean. Because guess what has to be provided? Everything Leviticus says. Other than that, you chewing on the wrong thing. Ooh-wee. I know somebody mad, but you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Let's go see who understood this though. Let's go over the Acts. Let's go over the Acts. Show a little taste. All right. Ain't nothing to it. Ain't nothing new. Somebody better tell these young boys that I do's this. So this is the council at Jerusalem. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. All right. What are you dedicating? And to whom are you dedicating? All right, Feast of Dedication. We think it's just all about killing and eating some good lamb meat. Nah, Jack. Everything you look at in the Bible, being you so far removed, is supposed to be viewed through a spiritual lens or a metaphysical lens. Mind science. What can you read and apply to effect righteous change amongst yourselves? Like you ain't don't get caught up in the trap of taking everything literal. You dig? That's when you run out of gas. All right, so this is the council at Jerusalem. I'm gonna jump down. All right, so this is James's judgment. James is the Messiah's brother. He's the lead bishop of all the bishops and all the congregations and churches established in the Creator. You understand, and acknowledge the Messiah as the master teacher during a dispensation. James is his actual biological younger brother. Messiah had brothers and sisters. We call YHWH HaMashiach had brothers and sisters. All right, now I found it interesting once we start coming into this understanding that James is the one everybody goes to and holler at. Paul, Peter, the disciples, John, everybody go holler at James after Messiah's murder. All right, so he stands up and he gives a judgment over what needs to happen out amongst the nations, spreading this understanding, spreading this light. All right, now one of his directives, like this is not a suggestion. All right, these are directives. All right, Acts 15, 18 through 20. Let's show y'all that real quick. All right. Acts 15 and 18. Known unto God are all his works from the beginning of the world. Wherefore my sentence, this is James talking. So he's in front of well over 10,000 Nazarene Israelites. Well over. All right. The Nazarenes got control of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem during this period. It's roughly 20 years after the death of Messiah. 20 to 30 years after his death. And look who's running it. Look who's standing up giving a sentence or a judgment. Oh, that means he big dog then. All right? We run that Paul, but nobody ever realized that Paul had to go check in with James. What was James and them teaching? We're going to show you. Wherefore my sins is that we trouble not them which from among the Gentiles are turned to God. And that's the thing. The disciples and apostles were already out amongst the nations spreading that light. Way before Paul even got on what he was on. They already had Gentile protocol and all that. Look at this, verse 20. But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols, and from fornication, from things strangled. So you know we dealing with flesh right there. And from blood. That's another. You know we dealing with flesh. To abstain from it. So when you hear Paul write, in the last days, some shall give heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, commanding to abstain from meats. Y'all, he ain't prophesying about a Malaki Maccabee. Y'all, that was the argument and the warfare that was going on in his day. He was commanded by the leader of the movement to teach these things. Nothing else. Nothing else. All right, he was commanded by the man of brother. He was commanded by those who knew him in the flesh. This is what you teach. You see? Watch this. We're going to jump down to verse 29. So watch this. If you're going to dedicate, you got to be about that. He's still talking. That ye abstain from meats offered to idols. There is no New Testament at this time. So where is he getting the understanding from about abstention from flesh, meats, or food offered to idols? Where does that come from? That would have to be in the Torah somewhere. You know what I mean? Had to be. Did bro say that the Nazarenes kicked the Pharisees? Nah. It's just they had, when it come down to the controlling body, it's almost just like It's almost just like you had today on Capitol Hill. You got the Democrats and Republicans establishing policy, arguing. It's just that the majority were the Nazarenes. You got Pharisees, and there's a lot of Pharisees and priests that were obedient to the faith. When you get into Acts the 21st chapter, a lot of them was like, yeah, that's what it is. You know what I mean? Now watch this word. Now look at this word. That ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if you keep yourselves, ye shall do well. Farewell. Y'all, this is a command. This is a command. All right? And a lot of us really don't realize that food or diet has everything to do with your spiritual progression or your spiritual declension. It does. That's why these things were being taught. All right. Now, everybody in Israel didn't believe the Torah the same way and all that. But, you know, the point being, like, we got right here the leader of the Messiah's movement, right? His younger brother, James. You understand? He met a violent end, too. He was murdered in Jerusalem, too, though. You did. Letting it be known that part of this walk is the abstention from flesh offered to idols, from blood, and from things strangled. So these are three allusions concerning flesh right out the gate, right in the New Testament. You know what I mean? So now let's go show. All right. So that right there is the order that went out. All right. So let's go deal with what Torah says. All right. Then we're going to deal with, we're going to go into the Nazarene Acts and deal with how did Peter receive that? All right. Because remember, this is a council in Jerusalem. Paul and Barnabas just ain't there. Peter and them there too. Now let's see if Peter understood what it meant to abstain from flesh offered to idols. Then we're going to get into see if Paul understood it. See what I'm saying? Based off what we're going to read in Torah. All right. Then we can, you know what I mean? Then we can go ahead and get into more understandings. All right. So let's go ahead and go into the actual Torah. All right. Leviticus. Let's get into Leviticus real quick. Now I'm time bad. Get into Leviticus real quick and get into it. All right. We're going to go to Leviticus 17 first. All right. This has to happen. And we're going to let it explain itself. And then we can get into like the Nazarene literature and see, all right, well, who was more in line with this? Was it Peter and them? You know what I mean? The apostles, the real apostles who knew Messiah, or was it Paul? You just got to be real with yourself. All right, Leviticus 17. 17:1. Matthew Smith's son, my beloved brother Pesach Rocky, bless up. Look at this. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and his sons, and to all the children of Israel, saying to them, this is the thing. This is the thing which the Lord hath commanded, saying. Now, again, if we love to brag about Leviticus 11, Deuteronomy 14, these are the laws that this is the food or the flesh we can eat, and this is what we can't eat. We do that all the time, right? You're not realizing that's contingent upon, right, the way it was slaughtered. The priest got to go through a ritual to declare this thing, you understand, clear of being offered to an idol. Who we about to read about it. All right. Speaking to Aaron and unto his sons and to all the children of Israel, and saying to them, this is the thing which the Lord hath commanded, saying, what man soever there be of the house of Israel that kills an ox, or a lamb, or a goat in the camp, remember we in the wilderness, amongst where we pitch a tent at, or they killeth it out of the camp, outside of civilization, outside of where we agree that we reside in. On a different level, you can say in the land or out the land, because they're not even in the land yet. In Jerusalem or outside of Jerusalem. If you slaying an animal for what? What is this for? Is this for food? What is this for? He's slaying the animal because, man, look, man, niggas be hungry. One bro told me. Yeah, we eat next, we hungry. But understand this, whatsoever man it be of Israel, you Israelite, right? All right, these are the laws of the flesh that must go down before it end up on your plate. Look at this. And brings it not unto the door of the tabernacle. So wherever you kill this animal at for food, if you don't bring it to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation to offer an offering unto the Lord before the tabernacle of the Lord, blood shall be imputed unto that man. He have shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people. So right here in Leviticus 17 is telling you right there. However, wherever that dead flesh is slaughtered at, if it don't come to the doorway of the tabernacle, then you're guilty of bloodshed. That's murder. And you stand in jeopardy of being cut off. Now I can hear you now. Well, I ain't to kill it, but I'm eating it. I ain't kill it, but we got an answer for that too. No, don't worry. Slow down. We got you. But the first thing is, it must be brought to the door of the tabernacle. Right? If not, you're guilty of murder and you stand in jeopardy of being cut off. Now, in this case, we don't have a tabernacle. We don't have a temple. There are no altars. Then, just like Judah Maccabee and them did, guess what? Become herbivorous. Chew on vegetables, fruits, and grains. And you understand? Because if you can't, if the situation is not provided for, then guess what? The flesh is unclean, you eat. And trip off this. Judah Maccabee and them, a family of priests, knew this. Look at this. To the end that the children of Israel, verse 5, to the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices, which they offer in the open field. Yes, dead flesh is a sacrifice. A lot of people don't want to deal with that. Dead flesh is a sacrifice. It had to be slaughtered in order for it to end up on your plate and in your stomach. To the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices, which they offer in the open field, even that they may bring them unto the Lord, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. See that? Unto who? The priests. And offer them for peace offerings unto the Lord. So dead flesh is a sacrifice. Dead flesh is an offering. Specifically, the food you eat on every day. People want to call you. Imagine went to White Castle and got me a cheeseburger. That's a peace offering. It ain't a sin offering. It ain't a whole burnt offering. Well, what is it then? The flesh that you come accustomed to eating every day, 3 times a day. What category does it fall up under concerning the flesh laws in the Bible? What kind of offering is it? Oh, man, it ain't no offering. Your food's not offered to the Creator. Well, to whom is it offered then? So this is supposed to be a peace offering. There is a Torah or a law concerning the peace offerings. Look at this. Look at this. Unto the priests and offer them for peace offerings unto the Lord. Now look what the priest got to do. This is the ritual right here. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar of the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation and burn the fat for a sweet savor unto the Lord. So the Lord right here in Leviticus is saying that it actually smells good. Blood, dead flesh, and fat. You got the Lord in Isaiah saying it smells horrendous to him, but that's a whole nother topic. Now look at this. This is what the priest must do with the dead flesh that you kill for the sake of consumption. This is the ritual that must happen. Look at this. This is the point. And if it don't happen, look at this. And they shall no more offer their who? Sacrifices unto whom? Devils. Devils. Idols. Abstain from meats offered to idols. James knew what he was talking about. Because according to Torah, if the provisions are not there, it's all unclean and offered to devils. And they shall no more offer their sacrifice unto devils, after whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations. Let's look at this verse in a different translation. Let me show y'all that. I would say take this season of dedication and go a little bit harder at how you dedicate. You know what I mean? Look at this, the NLT, Leviticus 17:7. The people must no longer be unfaithful to the Lord by offering sacrifices to who? To the goat idols. Baphomet, Molech. Yeah. The people must no longer be unfaithful to the Lord by offering sacrifices to the goat idols. This is a permanent law for them to be observed from generation to generation. NIV. I know some of y'all don't like the NIV. That was the NLT I just read, New and Living Translation. It's a prominent Israelite camp that I always read out of it. I can't wait to bust their head to the white meat with this, with the NLT. Look at this NLT in the NET Bible, right? So they must no longer offer their sacrifices to the goat demons. Good night. Acting like prostitutes by going after them. This is to be a perpetual statute for them throughout their generation. So the reason the whole ritual is there, so you don't be offering or eating flesh that's considered offered to idols or offered to devils. All right. So the dead flesh must be brought to the door of the tabernacle, to the priest. The priest must sprinkle the fat, the blood on the altar and burn it as a sweet smelling savor. And if it's not done that way, you stand guilty of being cut off. You stand guilty of bloodshed and murder. And what you are eating is officially offered to devils. We also learned it's a peace offering, right? All right, so let's drop that. Let's go to Leviticus, the 7th chapter. Show y'all this. Leviticus 7. Let's go deal with the peace offering, because I made a claim that the flesh that you eat can't be older than 2 days. Now, a lot of my brothers love to claim that they are following Torah. You dig? And I'm here to tell you, nobody is, man. Nobody's following 613 laws of Torah, and then stop it. Who you talking about? Because you would have known what I'm bringing out right now. You would have been acting just like Mattathias and Judah Maccabee's sons in them, right? They priests, they know the Torah, but the temple was under attack, the altar is profane, so they became what? Herbivores. That way they wouldn't be defiled. See that? What are we really talking about here? What are we really talking about? That's all I'm saying. Like, just be real with yourself. And this all we've been trying to do is just have a conversation. All right? Dedicate your mind, body, and spirit to the Creator. You understand? Remove the idols out your heart. Get out there and do righteous works unto others. All right? Now work on purifying your body. If you're having troubles with getting off the flesh, we your brothers and sisters. We here to assist you and encourage you, not to talk bad about you. Because I personally don't feel I'm better than anybody just because I don't chew on the back of a chicken anymore. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I'm better than you. But I'm going to call it for what it is. You're chewing on animals. Every time I say that, people be like, stop it. Mainly women. Yeah, no, I'm cool. I don't chew on no animals. Why you got to say it like that? Ain't that what it is? You're chewing on a dead animal. No, see. Now let's go look at the Torah concerning the peace offerings. The peace offerings. We just read that it's a peace offering. If it ain't done that way, it's considered offered to idols, or meats offered to idols or devils. You dig? And look, if any of my brothers and sisters are listening right now who still chewing on the flesh, or do amped about the holy days, and how look, if you chewing on the flesh at any of that, you dig? Guess what? It's an unclean feast. It's an unclean feast. Creator ain't hearing none of it. He's not. You did. I love to be the bearer of bad news, but look, I don't mean I don't love you. I'm your people, but look, he ain't with that. He ain't with that. All right. And just like you can find situations in the Bible, we can find situations in the Bible where it was a fleshless Passover that was kept. You understand? We just showed you a fleshless dedication. And brothers was going through what they was going through to get everything back in order. They weren't even chewing on flesh. That's the truth, you know what I mean? So dedicate yourself and be more dedicated to the resurrection of others more than yourself. You understand? Get out there and raise. Stop complaining about the streets. Stop complaining about the little jokers out here sagging. Stop complaining about the whores on the stripper poles and the abortion. Stop complaining about all that and show them how to live like an angel. Show them how to live like a high-raised son or daughter of the Creator. That's our job. You dig? Our job is to bust open a few hells and shine His light, so our people have a clear direction on what they're doing. Look at this. And this is the law of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which he shall offer unto the Lord. If he offer it for a thanksgiving, yeah, it's not about pilgrims, even though that's what Black Jesus Minister was trying to say, man. That had me hollering. If he offer it for a thanksgiving, then he shall offer with the sacrifice of thanksgiving unleavened cakes mingled with oil, and unleavened wafers anointed with oil, and cakes mingled with oil of flour, fried. Besides the cakes, he shall offer it for his offering leavened bread with the sacrifice of thanksgiving of his peace offering. So it's a free will offering. It falls under a thanksgiving offering. It's still a peace offering. You did, but this what you doing, then this how I got to go down. All right, I'm gonna jump down. Verse 14, and of it he shall offer one out of the whole oblation for an heave offering unto the Lord. And it shall be the priest that sprinkled the blood of the peace offerings. What priests are sprinkling bloods for you? What priests? Most of y'all claim y'all know where the Levites at. Go get your boy Gorilla Hebrew and have him start doing these rituals. He claimed he the top priest on the planet anyway. Have him start doing these rituals. Look at this. And the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings for thanksgiving shall be eaten the what? The same day that it is offered. You hear me? The flesh that you chewing on, y'all, being that it's slaughtered correctly and goes through the ritual of the priest. Do y'all know it got to be that? Look, that has to be eaten that same day. He shall not leave any of it until the morning. So if it is a peace offering, specifically a Thanksgiving peace offering, you can't even have no leftovers of that. The day that animal is killed, it all got to get consumed. You see, you dealing with meat in your freezer meat that's been in there well over a year. Talking about you finna throw you a feast. No, we follow Torah, right? These are the laws of the flesh dealing with the Torah. Talking about you throwing you a feast to the Creator and it's freezer meat. Look at this. But if the sacrifice of his offering be a vow or a voluntary offering, it shall be eaten the same day that he offered his sacrifice. So the day he offered is the day he killed it. And on the morrow also the remainder of it shall be eaten. So the voluntary peace offering, you can eat that up until the second day. You can have leftovers. Look at this. But the remainder of the flesh of the sacrifice on the third day shall be burnt with fire. That's why I said any flesh that you eat, and if you're going by the flesh laws of the Bible, can't be no older than 2 days. If it had made the day 3, it got to get burned with the fire. Look at this. And if any of the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings be eaten at all on the third day. So that's for those who say, I didn't kill it, but I ate it. And if any of the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings be eaten at all on the third day, it shall not be accepted. Neither shall it be imputed unto him that offereth. It shall be what? An abomination. And the soul that eateth of it. I didn't kill it, but I'm eating it. And the soul that eateth of it shall bear his iniquity. You mean to tell me lawful meat, lamb, oxen, and goat can still be considered abomination to eat on, according to the Torah? Ain't nobody even bringing this out. You over there eating you some cheeseburgers, talking about you eating lawful flesh. No, you not. No, you not. Look at that. So if you understand that if you're going by the flesh laws, my position is nobody is. Nobody is keeping Torah 100%. Nobody's chewing on any type of flesh, whether you have a homestead or a farm. No one is chewing on any type of flesh that was even slaughtered close to how we see it done right here in the Torah. And if it's not done that way, it's considered offered to devils. It is an abomination. You stand in jeopardy of being cut off. You're guilty of bloodshed or murder. And even those who didn't kill it but eat it still bear their iniquity. Good night. What are we talking about here? I ain't even went nowhere else. I'm just here to show you, like, look, right here with the Torah. So when James stands up and tells Paul and Barnabas, hey, look, Command them to abstain from meats offered to idols. This is what he's referring to. He's going into the law, the Torah. It's the same law, Torah, that the Maccabees and them understood. That's why they wasn't eating on the flesh. Why? Because the provisions needed for it to be, quote unquote, ceremonially clean cannot be provided. So it don't matter if you got a homestead or a farm or you're straightway pastor now. It don't even matter. It's all unclean. And it's all detrimental to your health and your spirit. All right. If y'all getting some understanding so far, give me a 7 up in the chat. Now you know what is meats offered to idols based off the scripture, not based off nobody's opinion. Not based off nobody's opinion. All right. Let me stop that and let's go into the Nazarene. Now I'm about to bring out the clips. All right. Now I'm gonna bring out the clips. All right. All right, now we working. Yeah, Matthew. All right, so now we're gonna get into first century documentation dealing with who we call Kepha or Peter the Apostle. And let's see if he understood what is the abstaining from meats offered to idols, because the breakdown I just gave, you may not believe that. Even though to me it's clear as a whistle. Dang, okay, the flesh got to be killed a certain way before I even chew on it, or I'm in clear violation. Hey, Cornel, you right. Hey, I was thinking about that. I said, man, like they got refrigerators. They in the wilderness. Hey, man, that food going bad quick. You know what I mean? But even so, you dig? It's way, I mean, it's ancient technology on how to preserve food. You understand? A lot of our aboriginals here in the Americas understood that. All right. They knew naturally how to preserve it. You dig? So that's what's up, though. That's a funny one, though. He ain't no refrigerator. Ain't no Freon in the wilderness, Jack. All right, so let's get to some of this. So now we see the directive go out. We see what we got. We got the Maccabees in them, and you wouldn't be even talking about the dedication without them. We got them not eating of the flesh. We got James telling Paul and them, this is how you get down. They did, and then trip off that. Right after that, Paul and Barnabas fell out. Right after that. All right, now we about to go see if Peter, because you ain't even really got too much of what Peter wrote in the Bible. You got First Peter, Second Peter. If you get into the history, 1800 years ago, they was debating if Peter wrote that because the writing style is different and it was published after Peter was dead. Well, after he was dead. You know what I mean? I can show the history on that too. We've been bringing all that out over the past year and a half, go close to 2 years, bringing it all out, showing all the receipts. You know what I mean? Because that's what somebody hold on to. Second Peter 3:15. Peter vouches for Paul, but not realizing in Galatians, Paul throwing Peter, James, John, all under the bus. He cursing them. He doing all type of crazy madness. You understand? So let's go see if Peter understood what this was about. All right, so let me share a screen real quick. We're going to go to the Nazarene Acts. Clip up. All right. Easy work around here. You dig? All right, that's the gospel. That's that. I'm about to go his, right his. All right, this right here, y'all. For y'all that don't know. All right, the Nazarene Acts of the Apostles. Recognition of Clement. All right, the preaching of Peter, the sense of James, Clementine homilies, all that in one. All right. Now, Clement was out of the Flavian dynasty. Look at this. I found it interesting when I read this. I say, dang, boy, you can't escape them damn Flavians, boy. The Flavian amphitheater in Rome was built by the spoils from the temple in Jerusalem. You know, where we was fighting, where the gladiators was fighting lions and all that, that was built by the spoils from the temple in Jerusalem. So you got Flavius Josephus was part of the Flavians. You got Clement who was part of the Flavians. You got Titus and all them, and good night. You know what I mean? Just to be transparent, you dig? So you see what we dealing with. But I'm like, dang, boy, you cannot escape them bastards at all. But this is Peter's. Clement went around following Peter. James asked him to follow Peter and record his writings, record his teachings. All right. Hold on, y'all. Get this for y'all. Let me get this up for y'all real quick. I'm gonna show y'all something. You ain't got no business right here in the first place. Please forgive me. You guys just type in. I want to show y'all that Peter understood. I thought it was homily 7, Jack. Hold on 1 second. I gotta find it for you. I gotta pull up the Clementine. That's what I need to do. 1 second, fam. I want to show y'all this though. Y'all gonna be like, dang. And it shows, it ties right back into what James told Paul now. Right back in. All right, here it is right here. Bang. We got so much stuff. It's crazy. We can keep going over these things. All right. Preview. Put that right on the preview. Bring this up right here. This is the Nazarene Acts or Clementine homilies. All right. Now, let me type in homily. Gotcha. Stop sharing this real quick. Watch this. This your boy Peter right here. It's just loading. It's loading this deal. Bang. Bag drop. Let's see if he understands. Hide sidebar. Let me hide that. Make this bigger. All right. Let me know if y'all can see that. It's gonna pop up on the screen right here. All right. Now Peter is in a first war with this cat named Simon Mack. Some people claim that Simon Mack is actually his Paul. He knows Paul never talks about him. But we in so you see up here, this is homily 7, chapter 1. Peter addresses the people. All right. He and Tyree. All right. And the whole thing is about your body being healed. All right. And from abstaining from meats offered to idols. All right. So we're going to read homily 7, chapter 4, and we're going to read homily 7, chapter 7. And let's see if Peter understood what it was meant to abstain from meats offered to idols. Because just like Paul and them was sent out amongst the nations, Peter was too. Peter was sent out at the behest of James, the just, the Messiah's brother. All right. Now watch this right here. The golden rule. Wherefore, as then you were deceived by the forerunner Simon, and so became dead in your souls to God, and were smitten in your bodies. So now, if you present, as I said, and submit to those things which are well pleasing to God. So the entire host at Tyree have been smitten with a plague, but it was based off the feast that Simon Magus gave them. See, majority of your sicknesses and diseases are foodborne. It has to do with what you're throwing down your mouth, down your throat. Look at this. So he letting it be known, and we're smitten in your body. So now if you repent, meaning stop doing what you were doing to become sick, as I said, and submit to those things which are well pleasing to God, you may get new strength to your bodies and recover your soul's what? Health. Look at this. What does your health have to do with your spiritual condition? Y'all, everything. Everything. And the things which are well pleasing to God are these. Look at this. Look at this. We're going to go right to it. We ain't finna, no licking of the fingers. No guesswork. Right to it. What does it mean to abstain from meats or food offered to idols? We went to the Torah and showed you. Even got an expiration date on it, right? Now we're going to see if, look, we see the Maccabees and them understood this. Let's see if Peter, the apostle of Yahshua, understood it. And the things which are well pleasing to God are these: to pray to him, to ask from him, recognizing that he is the giver of all things and gives with discriminating law, to abstain from the table of what? Devils, not to taste dead flesh. Good night. Let's we talking about here? What are we talking about here? That's how these brothers arrived at that understanding, because they understood based off the Torah is problematic. What flesh are you chewing on anyway? And to vibrate on the highest frequency that the Creator has for you, you got to let the flesh go anyway. You got to let the flesh go anyway. Look at this. And pray to him, to ask from him, recognizing that he is the giver of all things and gives with discriminating law, to abstain from the table of devils. Like, that's what James told Peter, told Paul, told Barnabas. Now Peter is out amongst the nations teaching what James told him to teach. He obedient to what was told. Look at this. To abstain from the table of devils, not to taste dead flesh, not to touch blood, to be washed from all pollution, and the rest in one word, as the God-fearing Jews have heard. This is Peter's journal, y'all. Or this is Clement's journal. Clement is documenting Peter's doctrine. Okay? Top of page 132, Nazarene Acts, Clementine Homilies. Do you also hear? And be of one mind in many bodies. Let each man be minded to do to his neighbor those good things he wishes for himself. See? All the Creator's telling you, remove the idols, do good unto your neighbor. And stay away from those dead animals. Stop chewing on them. Yeah. Look at this. And you may all find out what is good by holding some such conversation as the following with yourselves. You would not like to be murdered. Do not murder another man. You would not like your wife to be seduced by another. Do not you commit adultery. You would not like any of your things to be stolen from you. Steal nothing from another. And so understanding by yourselves what is reasonable, and doing it, you will become dear to God, and will obtain what? Healing. All this is about healing, y'all. From the food down to your intention, down to how you treat your neighbor and complete strangers. He's giving you the equation to heal yourself, and will obtain healing. Otherwise, in the life which now is, your bodies will be tormented, and in that which is to come, your souls will be punished. Good night. Look at this. Let's go over to chapter 7. Show y'all that. I think it's chapter 8. There it is right here. The service of God's appointment. So we in Homilies chapter 7. We in Homilies 7. We just read chapter 4. Now we in chapter 8. Y'all get some understanding. Give me a 5 up in the chat. Bless up. Bless up. Bless up. Let's see if Peter understood the directive that said to abstain from the flesh off the idols. And this is the service he has appointed, to worship him only. Create a game. And trust only in the prophet of truth, and to be baptized for the remission of sins. And thus by this pure baptism be born again unto God by saving water. To abstain, heard this right, y'all. This is what is expected. This is the service of the Creator's appointment. Look at this. To abstain from the table of devils, that is, from food offered to idols, from dead carcasses. You see this? From dead carcasses. The food offered to idols, y'all, is the dead flesh our people love to this very day. They are the food offered to idols is the very flesh that our people are eating on at all the feast days we claim we keep it in Leviticus 23. And even in the feast day, they ain't even found in Leviticus, such as dedication, such as Purim. We're eating dead carcasses. We're eating flesh offered to idols. It's the table of the devil. And Peter understood this. James understood it. The Maccabees and them understood it. The Torah tells you what it is. Here you go talking about we teaching against Torah. Obviously not. Obviously not. We just got enough sense to understand when it's dealing with the Creator and his wisdom and his ambassador angels, and when it's a false ass God. Easy. And we're going to call it what it is. to abstain from the table of devils, that is, from food offered to idols, from dead carcasses, from animals which have been suffocated or caught by wild beasts, and from blood. I think the case has been proven. Look at this. Look at this right here. Not to live any longer impurely, to wash after intercourse. That's part of the Most High's service. And we ain't just talking about, go get a wet towel. Go wash yourself. Get yourself together. Not to live any longer impurely, to wash after intercourse, that the woman on their part should keep the law of purification, that all should be sober-minded, giving the good works. There go the good works again. Refraining from wrongdoing, looking for eternal life from the all-powerful God, and asking with prayer and continual supplication that they may win it. Such was Peter's counsel to the men of Sidon also. And in few days, many repented and believed and were what? Healed. We talking about a healing ministry. You dealing with the Creator and His force and His power, then where the healing at? Ain't no healings. Soon as we encourage our people to stop chewing on the flesh, the healings increase 1,000-fold. It was already healings popping off around here, but as soon as we got off that flesh, oh, good night. Good night. Testimonies got to pouring in left and right, like, dang. Huh? We must be doing the work then. You know what I mean? Look at this. And Peter, having founded the church, set over it as bishop, one of the elders who were with him, left for Sidon. So we see that Peter understood the understanding about abstaining from meats offered to idols, because the meats offered to idols, believe it or not, brothers and sisters, is the dead flesh. And especially in this day and hour, nobody is slaughtering that flesh how the Torah says it's supposed to be slaughtered. We just read it, didn't we? Huh? We just read the ritual the priest has to go through. We just read that. Right? And we can safely say nobody, I don't care if you got a homestead or a farm, nobody's getting down like that. Nobody's getting down like that. All right? So cases being proven left and right. So we got the Maccabees about here. All right, look, let's go over here. I just want to go here real quick. All right, let's go deal with Paul. Man, Paul was told to teach that. And we started the class off with a video saying that Paul was false. Paul's a false apostle. Negroes might ready to hang you for that one. But if you slow down and come deal with us scripturally speaking, we'll show you. We'll show you. All right. Paul started doing his own thing. All right. Let me see where I'm going to start at. I start at verse 23. All right. All right. Verse 23. 1 Corinthians 10, start at verse 23. Let's see. We see Peter understood that the flesh offered to idols was what? Dead flesh, period. Stay away from that. And then once they got up off that and stopped doing what they was doing, he came with spiritual power and they were healed. Healed. You see what I'm saying? You mean to tell me your diseases are foodborne? Yes, that's exactly what we're saying. Exactly. Okay? Watch this. And if you feel like what we're saying is so blasphemous, then, have more testicular fortitude than a damn squirrel and step up and say something. You dig? But it ain't like what we not reading ain't in there. Just like what you reading is in there. You dig? There's all type of different perspectives in the scriptures. It is. All right. Now look what he's saying. 1 Corinthians. Now this is Paul. This is Paul, the beloved apostle. Look at this. 1 Corinthians 10:23. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Well, all things are not lawful for anyone. That's a lie. Now, if he's saying all things concerning the Torah that are lawful is lawful, maybe he's saying that. You know what I mean? Maybe he's saying that and saying just because it is lawful, it may not be the right time to be doing it. I'm willing to give him that. But look at this, verse 24. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. All right, look out for someone else. It just ain't about you. Verse 25. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles that eat, asking no questions for conscience sake. Now, Paul comes with a different message, right? James said, abstain from meats offered to idols. Peter taught the abstention from meats offered to idols and went even further and said that's the dead flesh. That's why you're sick. The Maccabees knew they had to become herbivorous because they would have been polluted chewing on their cattle. We went to the Torah and showed you what the priest got to do in order for it not to be an abomination and how long, what the expiration date is, right? So we got all that in agreement. Let's see what Paul's understanding. Paul says whatever is sold in the shambles, eat it and don't even ask no questions for conscience sake. Let's go to the NLT, 1 Corinthians 10 and 25. So you may eat any meat that is sold in the marketplace without raising questions of conscience. That's not true. That's not true. NIV, eat anything sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience. That's not true when you read that at. Where is it at in the Torah that you got a right to eat whatever is sold in the Gentile meat markets, the butcher shops? Where you read that at? ESV, eat whatever is sold in the meat market without raising any question on the ground of conscience. Yeah, you need sea moss. My too much for you. You need that organic purple sea moss or that Irish moss. You dig? And take that on the regular twice a day. That's what you need. You dig? And also, if you're dealing with bones, you need plant-based. You need plant-based. What is that? Calcium. You need plant-based calcium for the bones. Don't go to Walgreens and get a calcium pill or an iron pill. Those come from rocks. You need plant. You need your minerals. You need your herbs. You need all that from the herbs, the plants. You need your minerals from the plants, not the rocks. All right, and you feel a lot better. Trust me. Okay, lay them down. Look at this right here. Eat everything that is sold, the CSB. Eat everything that is sold in the meat market without raising questions for the sake of conscience. So Paul does not agree with abstain from meats offered to idols. The way James and them commanded, and the way Peter and them taught, and the way the Maccabees and them understood it, and the way the Torah teach. He's saying you got a right, you have liberty to eat whatever is sold in the shambles or the meat markets. And he said, don't ask no questions. Don't even look into it. That means if that inner voice is telling you, hold on, don't eat that. He say, look, ignore that. And his reason is what? For the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Look at this, 27. If any of them that believe not bid you to a feast, and you be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no questions for conscience sake. Look at that. So this is an unbeliever that don't even believe in your understanding, invite you to eat somewhere, and you just be disposed and have to go. Whatever they throw on your plate, eat it and don't ask no questions. Where is this in the Torah, period? Where is this at? Where is this at? Look at this, verse 28. Now look what he say. But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice unto idols, eat not for his sake that showed it, and for conscience sake, for the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So he say, if they tell you is offered to an idol, don't eat it for the sake of him that's serving you. Hold on, what the hell are you talking about? You not eating flesh offered to idol has nothing to do with the person that's serving you. That's cooking it for you. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with how it is prepared, how it is slaughtered. You understand? How it is processed. That's what makes it offered to an idol. Not because somebody tell you, hey, this was dedicated to the Tefnut out of Egypt. That ain't the understanding that we got when we read Leviticus. That ain't the understanding we got when we read the second Maccabees. They ain't the understanding we got when we read Acts 15. They ain't the understanding we got when we read Homily 7, chapter 4 and chapter 8. Dealing with Peter and his understanding about what it means to abstain from meats offered to idols. That ain't what none of that is. Just look, it being offered to an idol is not contingent upon somebody telling you it is. It's contingent upon what? Slaughtering, processing, and preparation. That's it. And then he's saying, if they do say it, don't eat it for the sake of him serving you. And then his excuse is because the earth belongs to the Lord. Now look at this. Let me show y'all something. Even when you go to Revelation, let's go to Revelation real quick. A little chop session. You did. I want to chop it up. I know it's dedication season for the family and all that, man. You did. But I'm saying dedicate your vessels and your mind completely over to the Creator. You did. By what? Removing the idols out of your heart. The righteous, get out there and do good and righteous works with all your wisdom and power to even a complete stranger if you have to. And purify that body. All right? Purify that body. Stop playing. Hold on for 1 second. All right, let's jump on back up. This is Revelation 2. All right. And we're going to get into this. Hold on 1 second. I got you. All right. Right here, Revelation 2. Remember, this is a message to Ephesus. All right. Ephesus is a community of messianic believers 2,000 years ago. Now, I found this very interesting. Look at it. Message to Ephesus. Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, these things save he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, and who walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. I know your works and your labor and your patience, and how you cannot bear them which are evil. And you have tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and has found them liars. Who are the false apostles in Ephesus? Ooh, the false apostles in Ephesus. Wow. And has borne and has patience, and for my name's sake, and has labored and has not fainted. All right. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. Remember, therefore, from whence you are fallen, and repent and do the first works, or else I will come unto thee quickly and will remove your candlestick out of its place, except you repent. And it says, but this you have, that you hate the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcome will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. Now watch this. We're going to jump down. Now watch this. One of the main problems with these assemblies is what? 2 and 14. But I have a few things against thee, because you have there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. Who done seduced Israel to eat things sacrificed to idols? He just told you, if they say it's sacrificed to an idol, don't eat it for the sake of him that showed it. Paul telling you can eat whatever you want, because the earth belongs to the Lord. That's what he's saying. But notice in Ephesus, there are false apostles. All right. Now look. Watch this. Watch this. Let me show you something. All right, hold on 1 second, y'all. I think think that's in whatchamacallit, if I ain't mistaken. Yep, I think that's in. Give me 1 second, family. Oh, it ain't that one. Give me 1 second. I know what I'm trying to look for. Fault. Let me see. Fault. Let me stop sharing that real quick. Hold on 1 second, fam. I want to show y'all something. I ain't tripping. I know I ain't tripping, cuz. Yeah, see? I know I wasn't tripping. Let's pull this up. Now, remember, he said the false apostles at Ephesus. You have found them who claim they are apostles and are not, and are what? Liars. Right? Now, watch this right here. Watch this right here. Paul admits himself. Right here, 1 Corinthians 15 and 32. Right? He's letting it be known he ran into some problems where? At Ephesus. If after the manner of men I have fought with beasts at Ephesus, what advantage it me if the dead rise not? Let us eat and drink, for the more we die. He letting it be known he ran into what kind of problems at Ephesus? All types. And we read in Revelation, the 2nd chapter, that they tried those who claim they are apostles and are not. Well, who was in Ephesus who claimed to be an apostle and really wasn't no apostle? Huh? Paul. Paul was not an apostle ordained by the apostles. He wasn't. You dig? Now, watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Now, remember, Ephesus is where? Oh, man, Acts 21. All right, so this is 2 Timothy 1 right here. Look at this. 2 Timothy 1 and 15. This is Paul again, right? See? This thou knowest, that all they which are in Asia be turned away from me, of whom are Phygelius and Hermogenes. It did. So all that being, so in other words, the work that he was doing, it did not line up directly with the work what the apostles was doing. So what he was trying to establish, James and them would be sending people behind him to correct his madness and clean up his mess. To the end, he letting it be known at Ephesus, I was fighting like a beast. It did. At the end of his missionary work, he letting Timothy know that all in Asia have turned against me. You see? And we go back to Revelation, the 2nd chapter, where he say what? What does he say? You have tried those who are apostles and are not, but are what? Liars. Who are these apostles? Revelation 2 and 2. I know your works and your labor and thy patience, and how thou cannot bear them which are evil. And thou hast tried them which say they are apostles and are not, and has found them liars. Well, who's the apostles or the apostle? You did. That's Paul and his crew that was in Ephesus. You understand? A lot of people don't want to deal with it, but it's the truth. Now, when you go here, we got another example. And these false prophets are teaching that it's okay to chew on meat or food that has been offered to idols. You dig? Paul said you can eat whatever is sold up in the whatchamacallit, in the meat markets, and don't ask no questions. Acts 21 and 27. Paul sees in the temple. And when the 7 days were almost ended, when he was almost done with his purification, he had to take a Nazarene vow. The Jews which were of Asia, when they saw him in the temple, stirred up all the people and laid hands on him. Why? Why? Crying out, men of Israel, help. This is the man that teacheth all men everywhere against the people. And the Torah in this place, and further brought Greeks also into the temple, and that polluted this holy place. So Paul is the one that they had a problem with. It was him. It was your boy Paul. You see? So Paul's understanding of meats offered to idols, he just wasn't with that. And right after that, he fell out with Barnabas. He threw Peter and James and them under the bus. He started doing his own thing. He didn't think the food restrictions or the dietary command concerning being plant-based, he didn't think that was needed. He actually thought it was foolishness. You dig? But that's the leader of the movement, the leaders, the pillars of the community. That's what they was all about, as we saw. You know what I mean? So if you dealing with the feast and all that, I would say remove that flesh off the menu. You understand? True dedication is about removing the idols out of your mind, out of your heart. You understand? Doing righteous works unto others, even if you don't know them. You dig? And work on purifying that body by getting off that flesh. I'm telling you. All right, where we at? Acts 21. That's where that was. What was the last spot I was finna go to? Dang, I forgot what I was finna go to. Let me see. Got which one I was finna go to, kid. But it's pretty much straightforward. You understand? What we talking about and being talking about is pretty straightforward. And lots of people have hollered at us over the years, you know, over the past year and a half, close to 2 years, like, man, that's right on time, man. You dig? But we're showing that the feast days, and it's more. It's plenty of stuff I can show out of the I can go into the Septuagint and show you certain things of a Passover that was kept without slaughtering lambs. We can go into the Peshitta and show you extended versions of Jeremiah 7, 21, 22, 23. You understand? It's all there. We got parallel New Testament translations, and it's all there. And the conclusion we arrived at is we ain't supposed to be chewing on none of it, period. You understand? I ain't saying you're not reading certain things, but y'all want to act like we ain't reading certain things, right? And we connected it. And then the proof of it is this. All you got to do is ask your people, or whoever got a problem, well, what is the flesh or the meat or the food offered to devils or idols according to the Torah, and have them show you. Have them show you. The examples we gave today prove that the Maccabees understood it, what the Torah teaches about that. Peter understood it. James understood it. Paul ain't understand that, though. See that? All right, so I'm going to drop that. I want to read a little something for y'all. Easy work. It ain't even really hard, but for a real dedication, get yourself together. All right? Do some inner work. Stop being a scumbag all your life. All right? I want to go into something I was reading that I found very, very interesting. And then we're going to close on out. I got to finish my day. Got all type of stuff to get done. You know, it don't stop. All right. Time is, I'm cool. I ain't got to be due to it. Yup. That flesh pots, boy. Feast days, flesh pots, and wait. All right, I see some understanding. I see if y'all getting some understanding. All praises. Let me see how long this one is. That's a long one. I might wait till the next class to go into that, y'all. I can go ahead and rock it now. Let me go ahead and rock that. Some good stuff to feast on while we feasting. All right. Sure. Right here. All right, let's work. All right, this right here is the book of judgment. All right. You're going to be dedicated. It's time to become aware of the grades and rates of men and angels. All right, look at this right here. Chapter 1, judgment. These are the words of judgment by the will of God, Yahweh's Son, as rendered by S for the resurrection of man. Hear the words of your God, O man. I am your elder brother. Look at that. Oh, way. Oh, way. I know somebody bad about that one, boy. Hear the words of your God, oh man. I am your elder brother of tens of thousands of years experience. Prophet in my wisdom and learn the discourse of your God. Huh? God is your brother. The creator is your father. You say prophet in his wisdom. I'm your brother of tens of thousands of years. Why wouldn't we sit down and listen? Look at this. Yahweh, Jehovah, creator of all things, spoke to me, your God, saying, hear me, O God, my ambassador of the earth and her heavens. For this your season. Obey my mandates and teach mortals and the angels of your lower heavens to know me. What? The creator telling God, hey, teach mortals and angels of the lower heavens to know me and to rejoice in my creations. The time has come when the light of your inspiration and your angels shall extend around the whole earth and in her heavens also. Powerful. Powerful. Look at this. In all former cycles, my gods had to deal with separate divisions of the earth. My revelations were to each for a special time, which is now at hand. I have prepared this land untrammeled with gods, saviors, and lords, enforced by the sword, so that my revelations of this day shall be published and not suppressed. And you shall reveal to mortals the plan of my worlds, and as to who you are and the method of your inspiration and dominion on the earth and her heavenly kingdoms. Bag drop. What are we talking about? We dealing with something that's highly vibrational. What's going on? Nah, Ak shouldn't be blocked. I'll tell the Ak if he listening, I got him. You know, he ain't no problem. Ain't never no problem, Jack. Look at this. You should keep the gates of heaven open for a season, and the spirits of the dead shall commune with mortals, good and evil, wise and foolish. And mortals shall see them and talk with them face to face, and they shall recognize their own kin, sons and daughters, fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, the dead and the living. And the angels shall demonstrate the subtlety of corporeal things and the capacity of one solid to pass through another solid uninjured. We was watching Ghost last night. You know what I mean? That was Patrick Swayze. He was passing through doors and people and all. It was crazy. Look at this. Yes, the angels shall bring heavy substances from great distances and cast them down in the presence of mortals, who shall see these things done and testify to it. And man shall understand that even as plants, trees, fish, and serpents can be wielded by my angels, so also can viruses and pestilence be carried by angels of darkness to cast mortals in death. So the viruses and pestilences are directly inspired by angels of darkness. None of these evil heathens who have patents on any of these diseases woke up, smelled the Folgers, and decided, gee, I want to make a coronavirus. It don't work like that. There's an inspiration there. Now you know the viruses and pestilences don't come from the creator. They come from whom? Angels of darkness. And you shall allow evil spirits and all manner of drudges, vampires, and engrafters to come and manifest to mortals, so they may know that my revelations unfold the matters of earth and heaven. For man shall understand what I mean by the words, as you live on the earth, so shall you reap in heaven. And you shall allow to fall in darkness those mortals who consult the angels with regard to riches, marriage, or self, or for curiosity, frivolity, or for anything of an earthly nature, for profit's sake. They shall prosper for a season, but end in being confronted with folly and falsehood. Angel communion is acceptable, but it's not for any type of earthly gain, not for any Powerball numbers, none of that. Spiritual life for spiritual things. Spiritual revelation, elevation, ascension. All right, to get further understanding, a deeper understanding concerning the Creator's creation and all that. That's what this is about. It's not for you. It's not for the Powerball. All right. Now, some do that, and eventually they fall into darkness. Look at it. And whoever asks for the spirits of great men, allow him to be deceived by drudges and all manner of lying spirits. Here you go, tell me something. And they used to do that too when you go into some of the African shops or the African bookstores. They'll say, I call them the spirit of Tupac or something like that. And they hold hands in a circle and do it. And it says, allow him to be deceived by drudges and all manner of lying spirits. Look at this. And whoever asks of the sergeants for great men, or for Moses or Jesus or Christ, and for any well-known name is applied to ancient times, allow him to be answered by evil spirits and deceivers. Watch yourself. A lot of people get into the spiritual realm and think it's play. It ain't play. Your intentions better be right. Your intentions better be right dealing with the unseen realm. All right, all spiritual power come down to intention. You understand? Is your intention on what? Projecting a massive healing on that brother or sister? Or is your intention having them bound by all types of witchcraft and spell casting? Nah. That comes back on you. Here you go cursing folk. If you don't know what you do, the curses come back on you. Look at it. Whoever desires the angels for profit's sake, and he has power and soldiers, give him a band of drudges and vampires, and give them great power and signs and miracles. See? And whoever consults the angels without regard to becoming a better man himself, allow him also to become a captive to lying spirits. Look at this. And to all men who feed on fish or flesh, you should allow vampires to inhabit them. Blood-sucking spirit. Good night. Good night. And to all men who feed on fish or flesh, you shall allow vampires to inhabit them. Blood-sucking spirit. You see this? You see this? Oh, wait, look at this. It gets better. Look at this. And to those who drink to drunkenness, or smoke, or take narcotics, you shall allow fetals and engrafters to come upon them. So understand that when we being inspired to smoke or to drink to drunkenness or take narcotics, understand we are being inspired in that manner right there. Know what you're doing. That's all I'm saying. Know what you're doing. Look at this. And in families whose heirs are born from parents wed for earthly considerations, you should allow spirits of obsession to enter and drive them mad. Look at this. Because a lot of people marry just for the benefit of advancing families and all that. You know what I mean? Maybe for some type of money. Look, a lot of marriages go down because of political alliances. It says allow the children or the heirs. Allow spirits of obsession to enter and drive them mad. Makes sense. It did. Because that's all your children want to do, is outdo you even in the riches. They think this is what it's all about. Look at this. For they shall be made to know the meaning of the word hell as applied to the lower heavens. And to whomever worships gods or saviors because of miracles, you should give them plenty of miracles and signs to unclean spirits. Unclean spirits can do miracles too, y'all. You can't just be out here just, okay, so-and-so cast out a spirit. You don't know what's going on. You don't know how complex and intricate and detailed the unseen realm is. Look at this. And whomever worships gods or saviors because of miracles, you should give them plenty of miracles and signs through unclean spirits and through mortal mediums. Just like what we watched Ghost last night. Whoopi Goldberg was a medium. And you Miss Cleo back in the day. And you shall give them plenty of miracles and signs through unclean spirits and through mortal sergeants, mediums of low grade. Here you go thinking you done tapped in, you dealing with a Miss Cleo or a Miss Rudolph or Whoopi off Ghost. And look, they are low grade mediums. The spirits that deal with them are earthbound. Those aren't the angel ambassadors of the Creator. Those are earthbound spirits, low spirits. Look at this. And more you shall let spirits of darkness assume to be these very gods, so that mortals can be made to know what manner of evil spirits dwell in their churches, and temples. Here you go, believing just because you saw a miracle. You don't know how spirits move. You don't know the capability of these certain spirits that have certain grades. And to the rich man who makes pretense to righteousness, but who does not do toward the poor as to himself, you shall give him a host of spirits of hypocrisy and lying, so that he may realize the company he is preparing for his own spirit in heaven. Yeah. That's who you hanging out with when you cross over. Give signs and miracles to the unclean seer as well to the clean, to the liar and deceiver as well as to the truthful man. For I will destroy the worship of all gods, lords, and saviors on the basis of miracles. Bag drop. What is we talking about here? That's why he said, look, give them what they want. Because I'm going to show you it's a false god you're dealing with. I'm going to destroy the worship of all gods, lords, and saviors on the basis of miracles. Good night. Good night. Good night. We around her talking about it. Look at this. And you shall take great liars and give them lying spirits to speak through them by inspiration and entrancement. So we ain't telling you you ain't spiritual, because that's what a lot of people say. Oh, I'm spiritual. I'm not religious. Which one? Which spirits that are you entertaining? What spirit you talking about? Talking about you spiritual. What spiritual system? Which one you talking about? Look at this. Look at this. And these spirits shall profess the names of great persons long since dead, and they shall manifest great oratory, wisdom, and truth. But nevertheless, their preaching shall be of little benefit for righteousness' sake or for good works. And their applauding audiences will not contribute to the poor, nor establish any improvement on the doctrines of the ancients. For the spirits who speak through them shall be the first resurrection of the inorganic heavens, not knowing me or the higher kingdoms. Truly, they shall be of the same order as the spirits who minister in the churches and temples, Solomon's temple, being those spirits who have not yet been delivered up from the earth. Bag drop. What are we talking about? When you read the Testament of Solomon, he tell you that he used demons to build a temple in Jerusalem. Huh? He's saying them same spirits is in them churches and in them temples. Truly, they shall be of the same order as the spirits who minister in the churches and temples, being those spirits who have not yet been delivered up from the earth. And some shall say, hear me, for I am God. Some shall say, hear me, for I am the Lord. Some shall say, hear me, for I am Yahweh, Jehovah. And others shall profess the names of mortals who have great power on the earth. And you shall let them do these things. For I will make man understand that he shall accept nothing from angels or men because of the name professed. So scratch the miracles off the table and scratch whatever name is being professed. Other than that, you're going to be duped by the false god. Miracle happened. All type of spirits of different type of grades know how to work things in spirit that you call a miracle. And every last one of these false makeshift deities who have rebelled against the Creator have the power to come in his name. Or any name you find worshipful. For I will make man understand that he shall accept nothing from angels or men because of the name professed. Only on the merit of wisdom, truth, and good doctrines that raise men out of darkness, poverty, and crime shall they accept either spoken or written words. You can't be tricked now. See, can't no spirit pop up on you and say, bow and get your kneecaps dusty. You stand before Jehovah. What does the name mean to you? Or you stand before Jesus. What does that mean to you? Or because a miracle didn't happen. What does that mean to you? Only on the merit of wisdom, truth, and good doctrine. And what is merit, wisdom, and good doctrine and truth? Doctrine that raised men out of darkness, poverty, and crime. Shall we accept either spoken or written words from men or angels? So if the doctrine ain't about enlightenment, if the doctrine ain't about raising up those who are in darkness, if the doctrine ain't about busting up a few hells and shining this Ethereal light, I don't want nothing to do with it. Because in the end, it's of a false God anyway, and it's darkness. All the arguing and debating is irrelevant if the God is false. I'm going to say it again. All the debating and arguing is irrelevant if the deity of God is false. Look at this. And they shall try to organize to carry out good works, but they shall fail. For many will desire to be leaders, being under the influence of selfish considerations, desiring the applause of men, and they will profess freedom, but they will not pledge themselves to any sacrifice, either of money or opinion, for the sake of the public good. And little good shall come out of their works, and even less peace of soul shall come to them, for they shall dispute and quarrel, being divided in all their ideas, philosophy, sentiments, and in their understanding of my kingdoms. For by this means, and you wonder why we can't do nothing as a nation. Nation is bound by false gods. Look at this. For by this means you shall show them they are under the inspiration of the unorganized spirit world, S-world or spirit world, and of spirits who have not yet entered into my organic resurrections, which I created for them. But in the time of the light of my revelations, you shall raise up a few here and there, capable of all light. You shall cause these to form a basis for my kingdom on earth. And they shall forswear all gods, lords, and saviors, but profess me, the great spirit, Yahweh, Jehovah. Look at that. And they shall pledge themselves to one another in fullness, as brothers and sisters, holding their possessions in common. That's one thing straightway got down right. Sure do. Communal living. We're going to have to get out these cities, y'all. The cities are going to descend further and further into darkness. Got to get out the cities. Look at this. To live for the sake of perfecting themselves and others in spirit and for good works. They shall not eat fish nor flesh. You see those that's down with the Creator and establishing Creator's kingdom on earth and preparing to be a part of his organic heavens, second resurrection and higher. Guys, look at the work you got to partake in right now. To live for the sake of perfecting themselves and others in spirit and for good works. They shall not eat fish nor flesh of any creature that breathe the breath of life. And they shall keep the seventh day as a day of communion with me and my angel host. The seventh day, what everybody call a Sabbath, it's supposed to be a day of angel communion with the Creator and his angelic host. That's hard. That's hard. Look at this. With rites and ceremonies explanatory of all the doctrines in the world, practicing good for evil. You prepare to enter the organic heavens of the Creator, the second resurrection and higher. Get to practicing good for evil. Non-resistance to persecution and abuse. Messiah taught that, right? Turn the other cheek, right? Look at this. And abjure war, hate war, even if necessary, by submitting to death rather than take part in it. Why do you think Messiah said, hey, if you persecuted her, flee to another. Get out of there. You're not called to spill blood at all. And if you have spilled blood, or if you do spill blood in the future, you're responsible for the blood you put in that mud, Jack. Remember that? Right? The true faithers ain't even taking none of that. No, I'm good. Look at this. And they shall become an organic body in communities of tens, 20s, hundreds, and thousands. But they shall have no leaders, only their Creator. But they shall be organic for the sake of good works. Create a gang, baby. Look at this. But they shall not go about preaching for sinners to go to repentance, nor preaching for charity to the poor. But they themselves shall go about gathering up sinners, the poor, the helpless, and orphans, and bring them into comfortable homes, teaching them how to live, to be a glory to me in my kingdoms. See, the Creator said, I'm done with all the milly mouthing and the side jawing. Creator won't work, action. Around here talking about telling somebody to repent, but you ain't showed them. Over here begging people to perform charity to the poor, but you is well within your means and you ain't even did it. You see that? Creator say, get to work. All this milly mouthing. Ooh, wait. Adam, Hiram Abiff is in the scriptures, but when you read the Testament of Solomon and the Pseudepigrapha and all that, You see, both accounts are different. So you got Hiram Abiff and his workers in the Bible, and then you got Solomon using the demons to build the temple in the Testament of Solomon, in which the camp I used to be a part of here in St. Louis actually taught that. Still teach that if I ain't mistaken. That demons built the temple. I said, good night. Look at that. And here we go talking about temples. The spirits that are in the temples and the churches are the same as the unclean spirits. I say, good night. What is we talking about here? Look at this. So the Creator says, enough with all the preaching for charity and preaching to repentance. Go show. Go do. But they themselves shall go about gathering up sinners, the poor, the helpless, and orphans, and bring them into comfortable homes, teaching them how to live, to be a glory to me and my kingdoms. Such persons, my angels from the second resurrection, shall come and minister in my name for the joy of the earth. You want the angel ambassadors that directly inspire us, then guess what we got to do? Righteous works unto others. We got to gather up sinners, the poor, the helpless, and orphans, and bring them into our comfortable homes and teach them. The real work. The real work. No complaining, the real work. To such persons, my angels from the second resurrection shall come and minister in my name for the joy of the earth. And when such people die, they shall be received into the second resurrection, escaping the first. Don't we want to be a part of that second resurrection? We got work to do then. Righteous work to do unto others. How many of you are capable? I mean, I ain't gonna say how many. All of us are capable of helping. Period, point blank in the story. You want to go into that second resurrection. That's that organic heaven. From there and up, it ain't nothing but better. Neither shall any other people in all the world escape the place of the first resurrection. Look at that. Whether they are kings, queens, beggars, Brahmins, Buddhists, Christians, Mohammedans, or any other pretenders, in heaven or earth. Behold, the day of preaching and professions is at an end. I will have practice only. Creator say, get to work. Enough with the fat mouthing. Enough with the fat mouthing. You dig? Enough with the tiptoeing through the tulips. Enough with you running out here blowing your hot breath on everybody that walk by. Go show everybody how to get it done. You see? The onus is on us, brothers and sisters. Onus is on us. He's crazy. I only want practice. Whoever is not in my organic kingdoms on earth. See how we need to gather together now? I'm talking about, y'all, we need to go ahead and make that happen. We need to put a rush order on it. Whoever is not in my organic kingdoms on earth should go into my inorganic kingdoms in heaven. That's the first resurrection. But see, that's the lower heavens. Hell is even in the lower heavens. For I created the heavens and the earth and all things in them, so that like goes to like. Ooh, wait. That's the book of judgment right there. We're going to crack into more of that the next class. If y'all got some understanding, give me a 9 up in the chat. Bless up. Shout out to my Nazarene scene, brothers and sisters. Shout out to the Faithist family in the building. Create a gang. You bring them, we raise them. Let me know if y'all got some understanding. I got to shake out. Y'all continue to pray for your brothers. I continue to pray for all y'all believe that, know that. I found it interesting, though, in the book of judgment, it talked about the fish and the flesh and the drink and the smoke. I found it very, very interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna check on him as soon as I get off this live chat. Tell the brother, please forgive me. It had to be an accident, though. You know how it is. All right, y'all. I'm about to get up out of here. Peace and love, wisdom and power in the name of the Creator Yahweh, Jehovah. I salute you all. And wisdom, healing, love, abundance, peace, protection, righteousness, and victory. Until the next time. Create a gang, baby. Bing. Bing. Bing.
Observers of Jewish law. Their food wasn't kosher. But the biggest obstacle Paul faced with the Gentiles was the circumcision law, the covenant between God and the believers. dating back to Prophet Abraham. At first, Paul encouraged Gentile converts to follow the law. He even had his companion, Timothy, circumcised, as confirmed in Acts 16. But somewhere along the way, he changed his tune. The law was an obstacle standing in his way, so he cast it aside. Jesus said, "Follow the law down to the letter," but Paul said the exact opposite. Not only did he remove its obligation, he went so far as to call it harmful. I, Paul, tell you that if you let yourselves be circumcised, Christ will be of no value to you at all. You who are trying to be justified by the law have been alienated from Christ. You have fallen away from grace. Where was he getting this from? It certainly wasn't from the man who Jesus named as his successor, Simon Peter. When Jesus knew he wouldn't be around much longer, he handed the keys of the kingdom to his successor, Simon Peter, stating, "And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven." Although Jesus clearly designated a shepherd for his flock to follow in Peter, Paul argued that he was given a new gospel to spread. He said, "And of this gospel I was appointed a herald, and an apostle, and a teacher." You might imagine that Paul, as a follower of Christ, would have jumped at the chance to learn from the 12 men who lived with and learned from Jesus in the flesh. But that's not what Paul did. It was a full decade after Jesus' death that Paul first met Peter in Jerusalem. Then he went out, preaching and teaching his own gospel in Asia Minor for another 10 years before making a return trip to Jerusalem around 50 AD. It was only then, 20 years after the crucifixion, that Paul met the rest of the apostles for the first time. Paul did not preach the same thing as the 12 apostles, and there was constant friction between him and the Jerusalem church about one issue, in particular, the law. Tensions eventually boiled over and caused Peter and Paul to come to blows. When Peter visited Antioch, he clashed with Paul over whether or not Gentile Christians needed to uphold the law. We only get to hear Paul's side of the story, of course, but if we take his epistle at its word, the two men came to an agreement. Paul would go forth as an apostle to the Gentiles, while Peter would preach to the circumcised. But there is a problem there. The agreement, which Paul speaks of, contradicts the book of Acts, which states that Peter, not Paul, was chosen by God to minister to the Gentiles. In Acts chapter 15, verse 7, Peter said, "Brothers, you know that some time ago God made a choice among you that the Gentiles might hear from my lips the message of the gospel and believe." Nevertheless, Paul claimed to have a different gospel than Peter and the other apostles, the gospel of the uncircumcised. A gospel which he didn't receive from any man, nor was he taught it. His gospel came purely from revelation and therefore couldn't be verified by anyone as truthful. And yet, Paul's new gospel split the religion of Christianity into two distinct confessions, one rooted in Judaism and a version tailored for the Gentiles. Concluding this chapter of Galatians, Paul argues that his way is the correct way, because even though Jesus said, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father," Paul taught that salvation comes not by works, but by faith alone. For through the law I died to the law, so that I might live for God. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I now live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not set aside the grace of God, for if righteousness could be gained through the law, Christ died for nothing. Paul's depiction of Jesus as a divine Savior perfectly suited the Gentiles, who disliked the law and adored stories of myth. People from a polytheistic culture who regarded holy figures as deities. Perhaps this explains the origin of a controversial claim, how Jesus became God. Today, virtually all Christians accept Jesus as the human embodiment of God, one part of a holy trinity. But it wasn't always like that. The early Christians were not in agreement on this point. In fact, up until the 4th century, Christians fell into two camps. Those who believed Jesus to be a divine messenger of God, and those who believed that Jesus was both fully human and fully God. How did these radically different understandings of Jesus evolve? Perhaps the best way to solve this mystery is to take a look at the words of Jesus. Did Jesus ever call himself God? The answer, not even once. Jesus said there is only one God, and it isn't him. He famously asked, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone." And Jesus warned against those who deified him, saying, "But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men." He also differentiates himself from God numerous times throughout the Bible. In the book of John, Jesus says, "By myself I can do nothing. I judge only as I hear, and my judgment is just. For I seek not to please myself, but him who sent me." And he also says, "For I did not speak on my own, but the Father who sent me commanded me to say all that I have spoken." If Jesus never called himself God, how did he become known as God? The Pauline epistles are sprinkled with statements conflating Jesus with God. Paul refers to Christ, who is God overall, in Romans chapter 9, verse 5, and in Titus chapter 2, verse 13, our God and Savior, Jesus. It seems like a blatant contradiction, but perhaps it suited Paul's grand agenda to misguide people. If people are worshiping Jesus as God, they are associating others with him, undercutting the very foundation of monotheism. Not only did he call Christ God, he revamped Christ's image. If Jesus was God, he couldn't be seen as an ordinary man. He had to be seen as celibate. If you know anything about Jesus today, it's that Jesus, unlike all the messengers before and after him, was supposedly celibate. But what exactly do the scriptures say? The answer is absolutely nothing. The Gospels never specify whether Jesus was married or unmarried. The idea that celibacy was somehow superior to marriage came entirely from Paul. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 7, Paul wrote, "I wish all were single, just as I am." To help prevent the desire to be married, Paul said, "It is good that a man should not touch a woman." Paul's sexual asceticism came to shape and color the Christian faith as we know it today. Celibacy is practiced by Roman Catholic priests and nuns. But where did Paul get this stance from? It certainly wasn't Jesus, because as Paul admitted himself, "I have no command of the Lord, but I give my opinion as one who by the Lord's mercy is trustworthy." Had Jesus been celibate, Paul would certainly have invoked him as an example when arguing for celibacy. but he doesn't. Never once does Paul argue that Christians should be celibate because Jesus was celibate. For one, we know that Jesus' apostles were married. In fact, Jesus famously resurrected Simon Peter